Every developer in 26 faces the exact same problem. You fire up your editor, then type a single line of code, and suddenly a dozen different AI agents are arguing in your terminal about how to do it better. And if you're one of those weirdos like me who actually enjoys the craft of writing code, congrats! You're now officially stuck in the dark ages of slop overflow instead of grinding for hours. And getting those sweet dopamine hits line by line, you now just tell the AI what you need and see it hallucinate a whole code base. Creating code has stopped being fun as layoffs ramp up, and even Replit's CEO mentioned that nowadays knowing how to code is actually a drawback. You don't need coding experience building a product more efficient than ever unless you're a stupid programmer. Who gives a damn about boring stuff like architecture and security? Developers get caught up in the details, but he's absolutely right. The hard reality is we won't be returning to the good old days of handcrafted code. And the only path ahead is to dive into the chaos and figure out how to enslave the machines in this video. We're checking out 7 obscure open source projects that'll help you get your AI agents in top shape and create highly effective slot pipelines. It's March 12th, 26, and you're watching the Code Report. Back in the day, if you were an indie full-stack developer, it meant you had to have skills on the front end. On the back end, you needed to know DevOps security, UI UX design, and a whole bunch of other junk. But these days, you don't need to learn all that stuff. You just need to hire the right agents. And a tool that can help you do that quickly is the Agency, which is a free and an open source project that gives you agent templates for virtually every job role at a startup, like a front-end developer, back-end developer, security engineer, a growth hacker, a Twitter engager, and lots of others. You can easily put all these agents together in Claw code. This lets you get from zero to a real product more efficiently without having to directly implement every personality. And the skill is cool. But when you put these agents to work, how do you know your prompts are any good? Well, that's where PromptFoo comes in. Another open source tool that OpenAI just recently acquired and that you can think of as a unit testing framework for your prompts if you're using AI to build an app that lets the end user interact with AI. Also, half the battle is figuring out if you're using the best model with the best prompt. Using a PromptFoo allows you to try out various prompts across different models. The two optimize what's going to actually work best in your app. On top of that, it can also run automated red team attacks to see if your app has vulnerabilities. Similar to prompt injection, because if your chatbot gets tricked into spilling your API keys by a 14-year-old on Discord, your app is likely going to fail. Failing stinks, but it's way simpler to avoid it if you can see what's coming. And MicroFish can help you with that. It's a multi-agent AI prediction engine that kicks off by pulling a load of data from the internet, breaking news, and economic trends. It then takes that data to build a digital world where multiple agents with independent personalities respond to and talk about the data almost like a tiny evolving artificial social network. Sure, it could be in Chinese, but if you don't speak Chinese yet, all I can say is need Lola, you're falling behind. For example, if you're looking for an app idea that's guaranteed to make you $1 billion, you can spin up MicroFish to analyze trends at the macro and micro level, then predict a strategy that's guaranteed to make you rich. It's really that easy. But here's the issue. You go to build that app. The UI looks like every other vibe-coded app with those silly purple gradients. Well, to fix that, you need Impeccable, a front-end design project that's open source. It's a skill backed by 17 different commands that can help your UI stop being so bad. One thing that drives me crazy is how many AI chatbots make UIs that are way too complicated. Well, with Impeccable, we can use the distill command to simplify everything in one go. Then we can use commands like colorize to add our brand colors, then gradually bring in commands like animate into light to make the UI look more unique and special. But maybe the one most crucial skill for a modern vibe engineer is handling context. If the input is garbage, the output is garbage. And the open source project trying to improve your context is OpenViking, an AI agent database instead of forcing everything into a vector DB. OpenViking structures an agent's memory and resources and skills into the file system. That's a sensible way to bring your context together, but it also relies on a tiered loading system that can massively cut down on token usage and save you a ton of cash. And it automatically compresses content and refines long-term memory, which will make your agent smarter the more you use. It can publish it. However, it really depends on what you're building. You might not need an agent that's smarter, you need one that's more based. And that's where Heretic steps in. Almost every model out there has guardrails stopping you from doing fun stuff like cooking mess in your shed or constructing high-yield thermonuclear warheads. Heretic lets you get rid of this draconian woke censorship by using a technique called obliteration. This method lets the tool run fully on its own and cuts out the need for costly post-training. All you need to do is grab a smart but heavily censored model like Google's Gemma. Execute this tool from the command line. Now you've got a model without the bubble wrap that will follow any command. But maybe that's not even enough to satisfy your unhinged ambitions. In case you might just want to build your own. Build an LLM from scratch, and believe it or not, You can actually do that with NanoChat. It implements the full LLM pipeline, including tokenization, pre-training, fine-tuning for chat evaluation, and a web UI, so you can actually talk to it. What's wild is that you can use it to train your own small language model for around $100 in Tahelaba. Time on the GPU. It won't be Claude GPT-5 or Gemini, but at least it gets you a model you have total control over. But the only thing that wastes more time than writing code by hand is going to meetings. And that's why you need to know about Recall AI, the sponsor of today's video. If you've ever tried building AI meeting tools from scratch, nightmare trying to maintain separate integrations for Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and every other one out there. Recall fixes this by handing you a single unified API that works on every meeting platform. You can create a meeting bot or desktop recording with just a few lines of code like I'm doing here, and it'll grab transcripts, recordings, and metadata live. Thousands of companies like HubSpot and ClickUp use it to handle all their meeting infrastructure, and most teams can get recording and note-taking features out to production in a few hours instead of months. Go to check out recall.ai/fireship to get $100 in free credits so you can try it out yourself. This is the code report.